Trustee Takaoka.
Here.
Trustee Schultz.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Markwart.
Here.
Trustee Cook.
Here.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Here.
President Byrne.
Here. Would everybody please stand? Well, do we do the Pledge of Allegiance now, or do we adjourn sin die? And then do the pledge? Or I gotta well, the pledge is on the the pledge is there for the next reconvening. You wanna do the pledge? Okay. All right. It's just a matter of when. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right.
Now you need a motion to.
Is there a motion to adjourn Sindai or?
So made. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Takaoka.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
President Byrne.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. Swearing in of newly elected officials, Trustee Carrie Mar Brown, Trustee Michael Markwart, Trustee David Oppenheim. You want to do some swearing?
I'd love to. Trustee Brown.
You want the, these?
He's got copies.
Oh. Well, these are signed. Commission, official, yeah, that's fine, do the oath. Yeah.
Like to join me? Congratulations. Raise your right hand. Trustee Carrie Brown. Say, I state your name.
I, Carrie Brown,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of village trustee
of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Dated the 7th day of May, 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Better ever
Sign it,
sign it.
sign
Hey,
it.
whoa.
Sign it.
Hey, you're,
There you go.
Karamar, you're 1 for 2. Hey, you know. Oh, come on.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
Trustee Markwart.
Trustee Michael Markwart.
That's why you missed here.
What's that?
That's why she stopped us.
Yeah, I catch on, you know, yeah.
A little late.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Stand right next to her.
It only took me 30 years to get used to her.
And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Markwart,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United
I
States
will support the duties Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Dated the 7th day of May, 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
While he's under oath, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
I left the list at home.
Okay, sir, I'll bring it.
That list is endless.
Dr. Oppenheim.
Okay, next, Trustee Oppenheim. Is Dr. Trustee.
All right, sir. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Oppenheim,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Dated the 7th day of May, 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll call the board meeting to order. Roll call.
Trustee Cook,
Here.
Trustee Markwart,
Here.
Trustee Brown,
Here.
Trustee Schultz. Here. Trustee Takaoka,
Here.
Trustee Oppenheim,
Here.
President Byrne.
Here. Motion carries. Want to do the pledge again? Once is enough? Okay. All right. Okay. Any citizens that wish to address the board tonight on anything other than we're not in committee to hold tonight, so if you want to address the board, I guess you could address us now. Yeah. All right. Well, the next item is Vernon Hills High School AP Government Civic Engineering Project. Oh, civil engagement project. Okay, I better get the bifocals. All right.
Hello,
Hi,
I'm Jack,
I'm Rebecca.
and we are seniors at Vernon Hills High School. And so we had a project to somehow engage in our community with whether it's the local government or whatever. So we picked our cause as kind of this Go Green initiative here in Vernon Hills, and specifically on electric cars, electric vehicles. And what we're going to present to you today is our ideas for increasing the number of electric vehicle charging stations here in Vernon Hills.
Okay, so it's a pretty well-known fact that the gas emissions from gasoline-powered cars are pretty dangerous for our environment, and so the problem has been solved with that with the invention of electric-powered vehicles, but it's become very difficult for electric-powered vehicles to be competitors with gasoline-powered vehicles, as there aren't many resources for the consumer to buy the car and have a convenient experience with it, because there aren't many electric power stations. So to bring this issue to more of a local level, in Vernon Hills, we found that there were a little bit over 100 gas pumps, but there are only around 8 electric vehicle pumps. So as for the convenience of the consumer, it becomes pretty difficult for them to find areas where to charge their car.
Yeah, that's actually a typo. It's 121 gas pumps. It's 311 gas stations in all of Lake County, but individual gas pumps, as in like individual, is 121 in the in Vernon Hills specifically, with only 8 individual pumps for electric cars in Vernon Hills.
So as we were doing our research to prepare for this proposal, we were really excited to see that the Village of Vernon Hills already had a Go Green initiative, and we were happy to find that there were already charging stations at the listed locations, but we were hoping to increase that number and add more locations to that list. So to educate ourselves, we wanted to find where those charging stations were, and this is, as you can see, all the marked locations is where they're placed. And we just wanted, again, to see how convenient it would be for the consumer to access the electric charging pump whenever they needed to.
Right. So this is just a lot of information that I'm going to fly through really fast because words are boring if there's a lot of them. So, so major car companies, basically the bottom line is that a lot of major car companies, most are making the change over to electric powered vehicles by, we highlighted the years for each, but it's around 2022, 2023. In the next 4 to 5 years, you're going to be seeing this big change. You know, GM is planning to release electric vehicles. Ford, Toyota, Mazda, they're all investing and starting these projects, as well as Mercedes-Benz is investing. And basically, the target date for all of these is within the next 4 to 5 years. You see Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi are releasing a line by 2022. Jaguar and Land Rover is looking to electrify its entire lineup by 2022. Volvo and Volkswagen all by 2021, and Volkswagen is investing, looking to have 300 electric and hybrid cars by 2030. So this is just showing how, yes, there is currently a big surge popularity with like the Tesla models and the Prius models with the hybrids, but it's not clearly just not a fad. It's definitely something that's coming forward in the future, and it's something that's beneficial, obviously, to our climate, and it's something that we should, as a town, at the local level, we believe that we should kind of jump ahead of this too, so that to ensure that we have the tools going forward. So this is just a graph, and indicated by the upward slope, that means more electric vehicles are coming in the future. So, so why Vernon Hills? So we looked at currently for electric vehicle owners, the current average income is around $77,000 and average age is 44. So younger and a little higher income people are the ones that are currently already owning electric vehicles. And we see that matches up pretty nicely with Vernon Hills demographics, as you see by the median household income of $97,000 and the average age of 39.2. So obviously currently Vernon Hills is a town that is seeing a lot of the same demographics as electric car owners, but that's not even taking into account the fact that it's going to grow so much in the next 5 years. Also, Vernon Hills, we know, popular site for tournaments. I mean, lacrosse tournaments is a big thing. Deer Path, I feel like every other weekend in the summer, there's a million cars parked down the street where travelers are coming all around from the Midwest, and that's just a prime location because a lot of these people now and in the future are going to be having these cars and are going to need places to charge them.
So as for some possible locations to put these charging stations, we addressed it as far as public property and then as well as private property. So for public property, we thought the Sullivan Center would be a really good location to have it, as there always seems to be a lot of traffic there, whether it's people going there for camps or for classes, for sports, always activity over by the Sullivan Center. We also thought that here at the Village Hall, it would be a good idea to have it because we found that Mundelein and Lake Zurich both have it at their Village Hall, and we thought it would be a really good way to advertise the Green Initiative as well. Also, we thought that at Vernon Hills High School, it would be very convenient for both the students and teachers who have electric powered cars, and then as Jack addressed previously, parks like Deer Path or Castle Park and places like that that have a lot of sports and other events going on.
Right, and in terms of increasing it on the private property, just some ideas that we've had of additional ports at the already existing charging stations, and just some ideas that actually some teachers at our school had to bring up would be, you know, some type of business incentive to new businesses coming in with having these ports available, which I thought was a unique idea. So that's all we have on our end. So we open it up to any questions or comments.
Who pays for it?
The government. No,
Really?
but
You better call Bernie Sanders then.
well, it was our idea for as part of the Go Green initiative to be kind of figured into that sense because we felt that it would be a program that would pay for itself over the next 5-10 years, especially because you're going to see this demand coming up.
What about, you know, you plug it in your own garage?
Yeah, that's definitely something that we've heard.
I mean,
too.
if you had an electric car, would you charge it overnight?
Well, usually these charging stations, they, like the current ones have 2-hour time slots for charging. So this is like you're going to the mall, you park it, you go, or so then in our ideas, you know, you go to the park, you drive to Deer Path Park, you plug your car in while you go and enjoy the park. So that was kind of it's not really an overnight thing, it's more of a like 2-hour time slot type of thing is how they currently operate in Vernon Hills.
So how much does it cost to put in one of these stations?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What does it cost to put in one station?
We aren't exactly sure. Yeah, we don't have the.
Dave Brown may. have-
Yeah,
Can you
any
comment on
ideas?
that?
I suspect it depends on the infrastructure there. We have talked to the mall before. If there's an electrical grid in the area, it's substantially cheaper, so there's a wide range. I suspect one station somewhere in the $15,000–$20,000 range. There's a lot of variables. If I may, I just have 2 questions that I'm wondering about. I'm not up to date on the travel distance that they can make within one charge. And do you have any sense for, I don't have an electric vehicle, but I've been to different locations. Do you have a sense for how they charge for it? Do they, when you're plugged in for that 2-hour period, do they have a meter that there's some sort of credit card, or how do we accomplish that?
So the current charging stations, I believe they currently, I think there is a current fee associated with it at the current stations, but that, I'm not 100% certain on that.
We've got somebody on this board that has an electric car.
I have a Tesla. The ones at the mall, they're free.
Oh, they are free.
But they do have, at other places that I've parked, charge point, and those you pay to charge. So I'm assuming that that company is the ones that are responsible for perhaps installing them, or maybe issuing a grant for them, because they're charging the public to use them. And they're very popular.
How big a charge do you get over X period of time, and what's the cost that you're seeing?
Well, I usually just park at the ones that are free, or when I travel with my Tesla, I have free supercharging, so I go to the Tesla charging stations. The closest one here is in Highland Park, and then at Abt. But it's not super expensive to charge, and for the ones at the mall, it's not like fast charging, but if you're here for 2-3 hours, you can get, some charge instead of having the car sit and the battery draining. So.
Do the ones at the mall here, are those
Those are
the
free.
level 3 fast chargers,
No,
or is that a?
they're level
level
2, I
two?
think. Yeah, which is slower,
So it's slower.
but it works. And then my car comes with an attachment, because those are usually for like the Volt, but the Teslas come with an attachment, so you can attach to that. You can attach your car to each station. You have different attachments to it, so. But the ones at the mall are free.
And what's your current operating range on a full charge?
295 miles.
And a full charge, you can accomplish that, I'm assuming, overnight.
Yeah, and well, at my house, I charge and it doesn't take.
240 volt or?
Well, I referred people to buy Teslas, so they sent me a charging station for my house. So it's faster. It charges maybe 90 miles an hour. So it doesn't, and now Tesla sent an update, so my car charges even faster.
We could just use that charging station.
I know. Maybe people can come and use mine.
Well,
I have 2 in my garage, so.
Yeah, it's probably, as the mayor alluded to, if the higher voltage, your
Yeah.
common household voltage is 120.
The one,
If you've got 240,
the
you
240
can get up.
charges about
Yeah.
40 miles an hour, which is not bad.
So you got, okay,
I have,
90 miles per hour.
yes.
So
But
you-
Alex's car,
Level 3, yeah, fast charge.
Alex's car, it's older, so he doesn't get the faster charging, so he just plugs to the 240.
Well, what does the 90 mile an hour one cost if you had to put it in and pay for it?
$1,600? It wasn't super expensive to install.
I don't know. Okay, well, in that, but if you, say you decide to go 290 miles, all right?
Yes.
And you're doing 80 miles an hour, how quick will you get the 290?
No, you don't.
Because you're
yeah,
going,
it
you're lead
depends
foot.
on speed, wind, weather. Like if it's cold, your battery lasts less.
Right.
So all those things.
Well, they got to work on these batteries in general.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. But yours doesn't recharge as you're driving like some cars.
That's a hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, well, the hybrids, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, well, Trustee Schultz.
Might I suggest, it's a good start, okay? But I think, as pointed out, you need a little more research. But what I would suggest is that you get in touch with the state rep, Dan Dittich, because I know he's big on to a number of these issues. And try and work with him, and he might have some ideas on how to support it. But I think one of the initiatives coming forward and is going to have to be the infrastructure redevelopment of this nation. And as part of that, I know Illinois is talking about gas taxes and/or fee increases, I think like $38 additional above and beyond normal license plates for electric vehicles now to make up for the lost revenue that they're not generating at the gas pumps, and dedicating some of those funds and having statewide initiatives and legislation. So I think that's the audience you need to work at. With regard to the locations, we don't have control over the Sullivan Center. You need to talk to the Park District about that. Needless to say, we don't have control over any of the shopping areas or the schools. The only place that we have some control over is this facility here. And I suppose we can take a look at it and kind of come up with a ballpark and look at it for a future budget year. We've already put our capital budget together for actually beginning today through 2020, May 1st or April 30th. So, we'd be looking at potentially the next cycle for that. But you could stay in touch with Dave Brown, our village engineer. But like I said, I think Dan Diddich and potentially Terry Lincoln, of course. McConkey is the other state senator that represents the town, and Mary Eddie Allen. And those are the folks that you may want to see how you can work with them and develop, improve on your program here and see what you can do to get fellow students engaged in this. But thank you for bringing what you did forward to us.
Trustee Takioka.
No, I wanted to get Dave's perspective on, infrastructure,
Oh, you
the
did?
cost. Yeah, he already gave that. But I think it's great what you guys are doing. I think this is a convenience thing, no question about it. I know a lot of people with, electric cars, they're fully charged when before they leave their home. But I definitely think like a Melody Farms, I'd approach them. They probably should want to have some charging stations. I see them in a lot of new developments there. So, correct.
Have you
Trustee-
checked any- I'm sorry.
Trustee Appenay.
Thank you for your presentation. I was just going to add that even though we only have control over what's here, we are in the midst, or will be in the midst of negotiations with the mall, so we can add that to one of the requests if we are indeed interested as changes are being made.
Yeah, the ones
And I
they
think
already have are pretty nice.
And I would think it would behoove them to be forward-thinking in that regard, especially if they're looking to have millennials move into those new spaces. They might want to have
Trustee-
extra charging stations.
Trustee Markworth.
The question is, I have not taken a look at the hotels. What are any of the hotels in town, do they have stations?
They do not know.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It's
Yeah.
Really
surprising
makes sense.
because
Yeah.
when you're talking of travel, it's,
Right, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because
Trustee Brown.
I charge my car at home, but when we travel for tournaments and stuff, we have to find a place to charge the car. So I think that's what they were referring as to when people come here to Vernon Hills to visit for the weekend, where are they going to charge their cars?
Yeah, all right.
Well, we can add those to the QR things at the VHEC and that.
Yeah.
That could be another thing we could add to the list of stuff of information we give out there.
Keith, do you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, while you were discussing this, I looked up the Department of Energy issued a report in 2015 under the Clean Cities Initiative, and they discussed the various pricing for these, and the pricing to go put in a commercial, depending on the infrastructure that's in the area, ranges between 10 and 40,000 a station.
Okay.
One of the things also is that because people are homeowners, just like Trustee Brown, she has a garage and she has the house infrastructure, but having an electric car is almost precluded if you're a renter. It becomes very difficult, so that might be a focus to any new apartment or multifamily dwellings where there's not a garage space to include some kind of charging stations.
Trustee Cook.
Yeah, I think it's something that'll eventually become more common here. I know in Europe, they're right next to parking meters. A lot of the towns you go to, they have you see charging stations all over the place there, and they've, built that up because there are so many more cars there. But again, great presentation.
Thank you.
And I also want to let Jack know I still, whenever possible, show that video you guys made a number of years ago
Oh, yeah.
about bullying.
Yeah, yeah.
I still show it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Now, you two were at Vernon Hills High School?
Yeah.
And what's your name again?
Jack Farrig.
Rebecca Agnew.
Agnew, okay. I got, you just backed me up on it. Remember Zirkelbach?
Yeah.
Do you have any relatives named Zirkelbach? The young lady? Not you, the young
me?
lady.
No, I don't. No,
No?
right? We don't.
Okay.
Zirkelbach? Any relatives?
It's okay.
No.
You look, anyway, somebody Tom knew, I knew, and they grew up with my son, and I'm going, you look like a Zirkelbach. And that's not a bad thing.
Okay. Cool.
No, I just want to say that, people always talking about kids getting involved nowadays, and Jack's a perfect example. I mean, you both are for being here, but I know Jack longer. Going all the way back to like 6th grade, we did an anti-bullying video.
Oh, yeah. Good.
That the writing workshop class put together. And so Jack's one of those students that's been involved, all the way through his career in academics and that. And you guys and the whole AP government class are a perfect example of American education's doing okay raising a new group of people that are going to run this country eventually. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you guys so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you can come back sometime if you gather more info.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, next is the proclamation congratulating District 128 Unified Special Olympics Basketball. Is the team here, or members of the team?
Yes, they are.
Want to bring them up? Okay. And you guys are the coaches? Yes. You guys want to state your names for the record, please?
I'm Colin Mason. I was the coach of the basketball team and a special education teacher at Vernon Hills High School.
And I'm Andy Compton, and I run the Special Olympic program in the district, and we've been doing it for 20 years.
Okay, well, great. Guys, hang on to these. These are for the players, okay? Okay, the proclamation. The District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team is comprised of students from Libertyville High School and Vernon Hills High School. You people, right? That's great. The District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team had 58% regular season wins. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team advanced to sectionals by beating both Putnam County High School and LaSalle Peru High School. I know, I have a friend that lives in Putnam, because it's about 40 miles north of Peoria. Okay. Yeah, small world. All right, the District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team advanced to the semifinals downstate. The District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team played their best game of the year, beating Stevenson High School in the semifinals by a score of 44-25. Congratulations. Thank you. That's great.
Hammer now.
The District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team advanced to the state finals to play the championship game against Edwardsville High School, beating them 31-26 to capture the state title in Peoria, Illinois on March 16, 2019. This was the first state title for the Vernon Hills High School and the first combined state title for Vernon Hills and Libertyville High Schools. Members of the District 128 Unified Special Olympics basketball team includes Sophie Schoenfeld. Is she here? No. Okay. Alexa Donato?
Let's
Okay, nice to see you. Okay. Joseph Miller.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Joe Reyes? Joe here? No. Mitchell Newman? Nathan Ferrara?
Nathan?
Okay, Nathan, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. John Ford? No. No? Okay. Mason Reyes? Nice to meet you. Okay. Ann Scholler? Nice to meet you. James McDonald? Ryan Schoenfeld? Vicky Lukian? No? Okay. Well, congratulations on winning the state championship. Woo. Congratulations.
Job well done. Job well done.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. Congratulations, ma'am.
Well done. Thank you for having us.
Congratulations. Did somebody get a picture of all of them, or? Oh, congratulations, Coach. Okay, congratulations, man.
Great work.
Hey,
I bet it was.
hey, you know what we could do, Dave Brown? Hey, Dave Brown, can we put a sign up, or do we get a permission for what, IDOT? You guys were putting a sign up for you, okay? It says you're the state champs. Yeah, and this, and I don't know.
Corey? Yes. You know Corey? Let's go by him, Mason.
How many signs would that be, Dave? I mean, 3 or 4 signs?
We would put one sign up on a specific highway and work with them.
Okay, great. All right, guys, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye. Where did they play the championship game? At the college, or?
No, right at the Peoria Civic Center.
Oh, okay.
During the boys state finals, the 3A and 4A championships.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
That's cool.
All right. Yeah. What the hell? Okay. Chief, you gonna do this one? National Police Week?
Next week.
You got, no? You don't have the language?
No, I do not.
That's okay then, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Okay. Village President's Proclamation, National Police Week, Peace Officers Memorial Day. The Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as Police Week. The members of the law enforcement agency of Vernon Hills play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Vernon Hills. It is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. The men and women of Vernon Hills Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now, therefore, I, Roger L. Byrne, President of the Village of Vernon Hills, call upon all citizens of Vernon Hills and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2019 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers past and present who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Vernon Hills to observe Wednesday, May 15, 2019 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of their duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Village of Vernon Hills to be affixed. Okay, Chief. You want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, certainly appreciate the recognition and the community support. It's a great to have a week where it's called out how hard the men and women of the Vernon Hills Police Department and all the police departments work to help keep the community a great place to live, a safe place to live. It's also timely, this spring, I would just bring everyone's attention, I visited our nation's capital, and just in the last 6 months, the new National Law Enforcement Memorial Museum opened up, which is right by the National Law Enforcement Memorial, right across the street. It's a wonderful museum. Next time you're in DC, I highly recommend visiting. It's got some terrific artifacts, great history about how our law enforcement industry has developed over the years, and the level of professionalism we enjoy today, much on the hard work of those that went before us. So thank you for your support.
Yeah, you guys do a great job, men and women, so keep doing it. Okay. Public Works Week proclamation, Village of Vernon Hills. You want to read yours, or you want me to go for it?
If you would, if you would.
Public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. The support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, solid waste collection, and snow removal. The quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials. The efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding the importance of the work they perform. Therefore, I, Roger Byrne, President of the Village of Vernon Hills, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through May 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. It starts here in the Village of Vernon Hills, and I can call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the problems involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. So, congratulations to you and your guys. You got through the winter. The winter might not be over. I assume we still got some salt, you know, in the event. I don't know. I shouldn't even say that.
I appreciate the kind
words. Probably jinxed it.
Yeah, your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the kind words. I'll pass that on to the Public Works staff. The support that the mayor and the board gives to our department really keeps us moving forward. We enjoy what we do. We're committed in terms of service and continue to do that. I think we're in a position that if you don't notice what we're doing a really good job. If the street lights turn on, if there's not potholes, if you can walk on the sidewalk, if things are being shoveled, that's when we're at our best. So appreciate all your support, and I'll pass that along to my staff. But I'd also invite the mayor and the board, should you want to stop by tomorrow for lunch, we'll treat you to some tacos.
Wow.
So please stop by.
What time?
11:45.
Any ceviche?
We don't do fresh fish.
Is this fresh fish?
He judges public works departments on their ceviche.
Yeah, we're not really good when it comes to fresh seafood.
But this is fish taco.
We're better at tacos.
Okay.
Just
So pull out of Lake Charles.
just to pile on, Dave, a couple of things. I was at the VHAC this weekend, and there wasn't a blade of grass that wasn't at Dress Right Dress, nor was there a blade of grass that wasn't trampled on. In that there were softball, baseball, soccer,
Track and
field. At the high school, there was even big boys with helmets and sticks beating at each other.
There we go.
Lacrosse, and everything is functioning well. And as Dave knows, because he got a wonderful letter from the bash ball or tournament that was this weekend. They were the people just couldn't rave enough about the VHAC and about the quality of the fields. And
Was this the baseball people?
yeah, this was a baseball tournament that the Cougars had. Or
And the police help with the parking.
Yes, they did.
Because I know there was some panic calls
wasn't-
late in the afternoon
Yeah,
on Friday.
possibly late in the afternoon, but it wasn't bad on Saturday. That ran fairly well. There was good ebb and flow throughout the day.
A lot of cooperation of the visitors there. Everyone got along well.
Good, good. All right, well, thank you. Happy Public Works Week.
And we've taken the plows off twice. We're hoping not to have to put them on, and it is officially spring, because they are playing baseball and all these other sports.
Okay. All righty. Okay, okay. Next is the, let me see, Resolution 2019-017, opposing the legalization of recreational use of marijuana.
I think that's 079, but whatever.
What number?
2019-017.
It's not,
That's not the number?
I don't think so.
That's what's
Oh,
on
yeah,
here.
yeah, I'm sorry, it is. I've got ordinance on my mind, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2019-0017, opposing the legalization of the recreational use of marijuana. I would like to draw your attention to item marked AA. At the April 16th board meeting, the Catalyst Group, where students from Stevenson and Vernon Hills High School made an eloquent presentation to the board and encouraged the village board to take a strong stance in opposing the state's efforts to legalize the recreational use of marijuana. After a lengthy discussion, the board directed staff to prepare a resolution that addressed 3 points. Point 1, the village's position on the legalization of recreational use of marijuana. Point 2, if the state intends to move forward in this direction, they do so slowly and examine the many issues surrounding this topic. And point 3, the village supports the 5 main points endorsed by the Northwest Municipal Conference. In response, staff prepared Resolution 2019-17 for your consideration and approval. This resolution was included in your board packet. Staff received feedback on the initial resolution, and there are 2 options for your consideration this evening. The resolution in your board packet and the revised option that was sent to each of you. I'm requesting a motion be made for the original resolution to be pulled from the omnibus agenda listed as AA, and for the revised resolution to be discussed, debated, prior to being voted on this evening. Thank you.
And if I can add to that, I was part and parcel of these last-minute adjustments. There was during the course of the groundbreaking ceremony for the addition to the Sullivan Center for District 73, there was an impromptu meeting that took place between myself, Trustee Cook, State Senator Link, and the Chief of Police, Pat Crease. And one of the things that was noted by Senator Link was his reluctance to get behind the bill because of the home growing initiative that's part of the current proposed legislation. And if you read this morning's Daily Herald, and I'm assuming something similar in the Tribune, there was a synopsis of what the bill that was finally put forward this past weekend by the governor's office. And home growing is still an element, and Senator Link had some concerns with it. And so one of the things that we did with the revision was to strengthen our stance, directly opposing it, as opposed to the initial verbiage was basically from the 5 points of the Northwest Municipal Conference that indicated that there needed to be the ability on a local level to oversee, manage, whatever wording you want to use concerning home growth. And after our discussions between the 4 of us, we felt that we didn't really want to have any part of that. So with that being said, we're looking to oppose that.
Do we have a revised resolution?
Yes, yeah, it's the Exhibit B, and the only true changes are in that paragraph that deals with the homegrown, which says that we oppose it, and that if in fact it does become part of the legislation that gets voted upon, that there at least be controls placed.
Okay, I could look
that controls be put in place that are meaningful for our local enforcement. The other was because this bill is gaining traction.
Traction isn't the word for it.
Anyway, with that being said, we're looking at a more pragmatic approach and really stressing our minimum requirements, and these are truly minimum requirements. So that's what Exhibit B represents.
This could all be a day late and $1 short.
Well,
I mean, the momentum is like, Pritzker's behind us about 3,000%. He's got the votes in the Senate and in the House. He addressed the municipal league last week when I went to Springfield.
Right.
Okay? So we could do this, let's do this quickly, just get it out, be done with it. But, hold on to your hat.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
That's,
'Cause they got a number on that, and they got it going into the coffers already. And they're hell-bent to get it done.
yes.
I
So,
guarantee you.
with
And
that-
then followed by gambling, and then followed by, the graduated income tax, so.
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
So at this juncture, I make a motion to, well, it's not the correct point in time, but when we get to the omnibus vote agenda, I will be offering a motion to pull item AA for a separate vote, and that as part of that motion, that we substitute what is known as Exhibit B, which would be the new resolution, and that resolution, if it passes this board, would be emailed and U.S. mailed to the Gang of Eight, which is the leadership in both houses, along with the governor's office, along with our Chamber of Commerce partners and our other neighbor, Lincolnshire, and the municipal associations that we are part of.
I would do this tomorrow because.
Yes, sir. That is the plan.
Just to be on record. Okay, now we're on record.
Yes, sir.
And believe me, this is going down.
Yes.
This is going down lock, stock, and barrel. What they ought to do with the home growing room, if you're allowed, they ought to make sure the fire department has to install a sprinkler system in case it catches on fire. Okay.
I got a question. So we still have the ability, so they pass it. I get that it's going to pass, but we can still, as a village, right, we can opt out of allowing a place of business from opening, selling marijuana.
All I can tell you
Do
is,
we have that
and maybe
ability, or-
the attorney has some additional insight, but from the
12
synopsis I read, there's going to be an opt-out provision.
Right, 12 months.
I don't know what the opt-out provision really will, in fact, finally cover. And I don't think anybody really knows, because, like I said. Yep.
Right. Right.
Or whether there's going to be some more flexibility. I think that's part of what Representative Moylan is trying to deal with,
Right.
as well as the remote people.
So if we have that ability, I mean, let's say we do, we can opt out of not allowing home growing in Vernon Hills, not allowing a place of business to open to sell the paraphernalia and/or.
And that is clearly elucidated in
Right,
the
okay.
resolution.
That's what I was-
Resolution that we are looking to
Sure.
put forward tonight.
Okay. Yeah.
I could tell you now, there's going to be, if this passes, especially on the recreational aspect, there'll be about 300 or 400 more dispensaries allowed around the state. 300 or
Right.
400.
Right.
And right now, medicinal's what, under 100?
1 per each.
60. Yeah, whatever the district is, senatorial.
There's 126 representative districts.
Yeah, I don't.
Something like
I
that.
think, though, that
So
there's
there's
only about 60 of them, though.
Yeah, there's only 60 licenses that were issued.
Rep. I believe it's.
Anyway.
No, it's this. No, it was,
It's
It might be
only
the Senate
60,
district,
that,
yeah.
you know. and-
It's 60 cultivation centers, so it's one per senatorial
One
district.
for each Senate district.
And then 2 dispensaries per senatorial.
So it's
district.
120?
Correct.
Okay, okay. I was gonna say, if it goes recreational and there's 300 or 400 more licenses, I would think we'd give serious consideration to having one in this town.
Chief Crease, how would you feel? I mean, if we had the ability to prevent
The
some-
revenue's gonna be staggering.
Chief Crease, if we had the ability to opt out, would you support that, or is that something that?
I would want to see the language. I think that there's a legitimate concern about the revenue side of it, but I think that most communities that have experienced the distribution side of it have experienced some real challenges with it. And I know in one case you can compare in Denver a spot map of Starbucks coffee shops and a spot map of marijuana dispensaries, and there's more marijuana dispensaries. Frankly, a lot of them are clustered around those lower income areas, and so I think it's going to be fraught with problems.
Okay.
Okay.
We currently have some zoning rules regarding the location of medicinal dispensaries, correct?
Right.
What, do you know what the?
One is
rule
1,000 feet and one's 2,500 feet? Isn't it the
Yeah, both of, for cultivation centers and dispensaries, they're both 1,000 feet. from-
1,000? I thought one
From
was
certain
further.
uses, cultivation centers have a little bit higher separation distance from residential uses. And 1,000 feet is for dispensaries. The separation distance for cultivation centers escapes me, but when you put, and there's other separation requirements too from schools, churches, and the like.
0.2 of a mile for a school. That's what the
So,
Illinois.
If you,
No, but we have our own.
well,
Right, well.
the
that's
bottom
what I'm
line,
saying.
he's going to
Right.
tell you where
Yeah.
it can be, and it's
It's
a
limited.
limited space.
so like a
limited, yeah.
cultivation center, if you were to put that map,
Right.
and we have a map that shows the separation requirements.
Right.
There's one location in the village that complies with that, and it's the former Gardman's property. That's for a
Is that the dispensary?
No.
for a cultivation center.
Okay.
For a dispensary, there's multiple locations in Continental Executive Park along Milwaukee Avenue that would comply with separation requirements for dispensaries. And our zoning requirements are set up with that in mind. So it'd be a BP business district or a B1 zoning district with those separation distances in mind.
So right now, the two proposed resolutions that we're considering, they differ certainly in terms of the strength of the language regarding home cultivation, but also the first paragraph after the whereas clauses. So the original one said that we strongly oppose any policy to legalize, and the amended one just says that we have concerns on or regarding a policy. Question is, does it matter at this point? I think it'd be, from my vantage point, I'd like to just say that we're
In our
against it
discussions
altogether.
with Senator Link, he talked about the fact that a number of people he's talked to in the legislature, and that if they have more ammunition to slow it down, that he felt more votes on the fence than a lot of people were thinking, so.
So it's more important to approach
To get the
this
information, yeah.
from a pragmatic standpoint.
Right.
So you're saying a pragmatic standpoint, meaning not saying that we're totally against it, but saying that we just have concerns?
And we want them to slow down and.
We want to slow it down versus just saying we're against it altogether, but we're right now, as the original was written, it says that we're against it,
Right.
but if it happens to pass or it happens to move forward, then we would certainly want these things abided by.
Our concern was that if you go in there, you don't want to shut down the discussion about it.
I guess
Because
that's one way.
As the mayor elucidated, there's a higher than likely probability of something moving forward. And it's
Right.
more important to get the points.
I get that aspect of it, but on the other hand, if you say we're really against it altogether, but if it has to go forward, these are the things that we want, and then that shows that we're really against it altogether, and just saying that we have concerns. You can look at it both ways. I don't know from a downstate legislator's point of view if that makes much of a difference, but I think if we're clear that we're against it altogether.
I would just personally prefer Exhibit B.
Okay.
And I'd like to have unanimity on this, and that's what I spent the better part of yesterday working with the team on.
Which team?
Petrillo, staff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mark, John.
Yeah.
okay.
So that'll come up, that would come up after we do the omnibus without it, right? Okay.
Yeah, okay, SWALCO. Anybody here for SWALCO?
John is.
I am Mayor. If I can give an update?
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to provide an update on disposal matters in two parts. Part one is an update on service-related issues with advanced disposal. There have been a series of complaints I would like to bring to the board's attention. Complaints have originated in Grosse Pointe Circle and Georgetown regarding the condition of trucks and concerns regarding the trucks leaking. In addition, HOA reps have voiced concerns over the truck staging before their start times within the subdivisions. Chris Manley, the GM from Advanced, advised the older trucks had been taken out of the Vernon Hills area and reported these route trucks were replaced with new trucks. Drivers were spoken to regarding the staging, and they have also corrected their behavior. There was also a concern voiced by the Bay Tree HOA regarding invoicing. Bay Tree noticed that a neighboring HOA, Shadow Creek, was paying significantly less than the Bay Tree HOA, which has only a few more residential units. Village staff was asked to look into the matter on behalf of Bay Tree, and we learned that Bay Tree was being charged fees known as fuel and environmental fees. The contract Advanced has with the village is that pricing is to be inclusive for all fees. Chris from Advanced acknowledged the error and has said the corporate office will be conducting an audit to determine how long this has been occurring and will credit the HOA. Additionally, we, the village, have asked for an audit of all Vernon Hills HOAs to determine if this has occurred anywhere else. Chris indicated this audit is occurring, and he will provide an update in person. Village Council is also monitoring this matter. In recent months, we have witnessed service complaints to include routes missed, and those were voiced even by our own trustees here, concerns over the condition of trucks, and now concerns that have been validated about overcharging. With the board's permission, I would like to invite the GM from Advance to appear at the May 21st board meeting to better provide an update on these service matters, invoicing, and the potential resolution with the Bay Tree HOA, and provide a state of the contract and potential acquisition by Waste Management. Having said that, I would like to point out a couple points and frequently asked questions that were provided by SWALCO on this matter. Frequently asked question number one, is Waste Management acquiring advanced disposal, and what does this mean? It was widely reported on April 15th, 2019, that Waste Management has entered into an agreement with Advanced Disposal to acquire all the outstanding shares of Advanced Disposal. This agreement is subject to regulatory approvals and is not expected to be finalized until the first quarter of 2020. Frequently asked question number two, will Waste Management become the village's waste disposal provider? The short answer is most likely. The village has a contractual provision regarding assigning the contract to another hauler. This provision requires the village board to approve the assignment of the hauling contract from Advanced to Waste Management. The village would have to have a legitimate reason not to approve the assignment. Frequently asked question number three, will disposal, recycling, and landscape waste services that we currently receive change in any way? The answer is no. The terms of the contract and the services required under the contract will be transferred in total to Waste Management. Our current level of services and cost for services will not be affected by the acquisition. Point 4, the contract between the Village of Vernon Hills and Advance and ultimately Waste Management, if the deal progresses, is set to expire November 30th of 2020. Point 5, on May 16th, 2019, staff from the Village Manager's Office will be meeting with SWALCO and Advanced Disposal to learn how the transition is anticipated to proceed. We also intend on discussing, in preparation for their invitation in front of you, the customer service matters, receive an update on recycling trends both regionally and internationally, and how this is going to impact our residents, information on green matters to include food composting, which has been raised by members of our community. With the board's permission, I would like to invite Advance to appear at the May 21st board meeting and account for these matters.
Okay.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah.
I'd like to have them here.
Thank you.
I think we should go out next year anyway to an RFP and look at another, because there's just, these complaints are ongoing. I mean,
Well,
there's
I
only
will-
so many apologies I'm going to accept
But I-
from
but I
someone
will
like, oh,
say-
I didn't know, and oh, the overcharging is,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's baloney. I don't
but
buy that.
I will say this, based on my discussions with the board president for NCT number 4, who has been complaining about Advance forever, her number one suggestion was she wanted to go back to Waste Management, because we never had these kind of problems under Waste Management. So perhaps what we should do is, take a look and see if that helps clear it up. I mean, I don't know, they may have changed, but that was a couple of associations, but especially NCT number 4, that was their one request, was change our ordinance so we're not dictated one hauler, because we want to go back to Waste Management because we never had these problems. So perhaps this purchase would correct some of this. Hope.
Yeah, but that won't even be official till next year. So
Well,
the thing
yeah.
is, it's really, the customer
Well, but
service
when's our
I get,
contract up?
that next year, 2020.
Yeah,
End
so
of
we will have had at
Right.
least a half a year or so
Right.
under
Did they breach
Waste
it in any
Management
way?
before.
You do have the ability
Got a
under the
breach in there?
contract to terminate their service.
Okay.
We have the right to do that anytime. There is a cure provision in the contract that we're supposed to notify them of, any deficiencies or problems, give them a short period of time to correct it. But you do have the option, if things get bad, to terminate the contract. You could go back, you could go out as an option to Waste Management now or other people now.
Okay.
Find out
There
what
you
the
have it.
pricing would be. Those are options.
Okay. And I suggest we may look into that, because I'll be honest with you, the overbilling thing, that's baloney. I don't buy that. Then someone needs to get fired over there if you knowingly overbill somebody, because, yeah.
Well, and as to the overbilling too, I've also recommended to the staff that our position be that there shouldn't be a credit back to an HOA against future services. It ought to be a refund.
Absolutely.
And there should be some interest with it and
sure.
anything else to make them whole.
Yeah. Yeah. Government will charge you interest when you don't pay your taxes, right? So there you have it.
Yep.
Good for you.
Oh, that's good, Karen.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, okay.
So myself and Dave Brown will be meeting with them in preparation. And I guess one of the other questions, we had in preparation of if Waste Management takes over is, the same staff, the same drivers, the same trucks going to be on the route? Are they just going to be painted green and have the Waste Management logo on them? So that was our first question.
Yeah.
But if there are any additional questions, please email me or contact myself or Dave, and we'll set up that Thursday meeting in advance of the next board meeting.
It's probably more important about processes and the oversight. Is that going to change? Because that's really where the rubber meets the road, not necessarily the drivers. I mean,
I'm gonna say, for the most part, the drivers are pretty damn good.
yeah, they try.
And I see the stuff they pick up on my own street that's
Yeah.
like, holy Christ, so much for automation,
Right.
Guys out there throwing, rugs into the bin and stuff, Then you wonder why they got bad backs, for Christ's sake, so. Yeah, right on. Okay, what else?
Public Works.
Public Works, IDOT, Route 45 Capacity Project Response Letter.
Thank you very much. Before I jump into this, I want to thank John Petrillo because he jumped on this issue with the waste hauler. We are currently going to be working on Georgetown. That's one of the problem areas that were identified in terms of material dripping and leaching onto our roadway. We don't want that to happen into a brand-new roadway, so I appreciate John jumping on that and getting them to change their behavior, so good job there. But in terms of Route 45, there's been a number of meetings in terms of Route 45 and the widening. The purpose of the discussion today is we're looking to send a letter of intent to IDOT, basically just seeing whether we agree with a lot of the things that they're asking. Really, the ask is more the financial items. In terms of how the road's going to be constructed, the intersections, the widths, the geometry, environmental, all of that part, we're past that. Really what they're wondering is the village committed to, in adherence to their policies, are we committed to fund some of these items? So there's a letter in your packet that talks about where we're at. There's some things we agree on. Majority of the things we're not there just yet. I'll need to meet with IDOT a couple more times. How we do that is we approve the letter. You may have some changes, not sure, but we send that to IDOT, and then I'll be in a room with IDOT and we'll arm wrestle on a few things. Really where we're at is the ask from IDOT is it will cost the village $2.6 million in terms of the local participation items for the widening of the project. Of that, if you look at the roadway lighting and temporary lighting, that's 1.9 million. So really the ask, if we put aside the roadway lighting, it's 700,000. IDOT is paying for new sidewalks or bike paths along Route 45. They'll pay 80% for the new ones. We've asked for basically paths to be on both sides of the highways. That's something we've had discussions on. We're committed to do that. So we agree with that. Traffic signals, we're required to pay at 20% of that. Also, that adds $500,000, 550,000. So really the majority of the conversation is, do we want, and we've had this discussion, right, at 21 and 60, do we light the whole highways on either side? Transitional lighting, you may recall those discussions. But what we're asking of IDOT is if they are widening the roadway and we have existing intersection lighting, it's their project to widen it. Why should the village have to spend the $1.9 million to add lighting to meet IES standards? So if there's lights there now, you'd have to have transitional lighting, and then it would stop for a very short period, and it starts up again for the next intersection. You almost have continuous lighting. I'm not sure, and we've asked them to show us in their state statutes why the village is responsible for this cost. So we just need to get in a room, they share some information, we go back and forth. If needed, I get Mr. Hunt involved, but we'll have some negotiations.
Well, what about the fact that we've acquired probably all the easements over the years, which they're not going to expend any money on, obviously, since we already got them?
This project is so well set up for IDOT in terms of the way the orderly development of Vernon Hills has occurred. Anytime was a development along Route 45, there were discussions with IDOT on what they wanted dedicated to them. And a lot of times, we were fighting to get more right-of-way dedicated to IDOT against the developer, and they said, no, we don't need that much. Well,
Well, and the only area you're going to run into issues is at the Mundelein and unincorporated areas on 45, which is basically the north side of the road.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So
there'll be no 505,000 that's still hanging out there. Remember
I
that one?
Yeah.
don't see that money coming our way anytime soon.
Wave goodbye to that.
Yeah, that money went bye-bye.
Yeah. So a number of areas, we wanted landscape medians, so the village would pay for the landscaping if there's irrigation. If we needed some electrical, we would pay for that. If there are going to be some landscape walls or some structural walls, they have a standard package as part of that. They would pay for that. If we want some upgrades or a different pattern.
Is this like
and the
Butterfield? Road?
It could be a similar pattern, but,
On the side. as opposed
yeah, but
to
not
median.
within the median, not
Right,
within the median.
right.
But wherever there's some grade transitions for sidewalks. So should we want that, they'll present it. We'll have another discussion years down the road on that. What I'm asking as part of this is, there's a letter in your packet. I'm recommending that the board authorizes us to send that to IDOT, and then we can keep the ball rolling so we can get 45 built.
Yeah.
My only
That's-
additional thing would be a continuous sidewalk to Butterfield through Indian Creek. That's a no-brainer. I know Indian Creek hasn't got two nickels to rub together, but I sure would like to see that added.
A very great comment. I've been talking with their mayor more recently. I think they're starting to come along. Short of doing that, people will be walking. They will stripe the highway to have people walk within the highway. No one wants to see that. I concur with your comment.
Trustee Cook.
Two things. One, the letter you're talking about is the one that has the whether or not you concur at the bottom, because you only concur with 2 out of 7. Are the other ones small enough adjustments to probably to be?
So they have a standard form, that's the one that you're saying. In addition to that, I have attached some general comments for them to look at. So the letter would be the combination of the two.
Yeah,
But
that-
they're not
that-
very far along. They're 2 out of 7.
Why we're not concurring with some of their, like the general scope in that, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, and that this, they've got to understand, I mean, this is the whole reason that we annexed all the way down to Milwaukee in '94. You know, I mean, that was 25 years ago. We annexed the whole thing over 24 years ago. And so that was our reason for doing it. So the faster we can get this going, the better.
We do have a letter from Mayor Williams back in the 1980s asking for Route 45 to be widened through town, so.
But
we're
I mean, that was to help control this project and control the scope of it was the main reason for annexing, when we annexed that in 1994 in December.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the taking of Half Day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Dave, do you know
What it
where,
was called, baby.
do you have any idea as to where we are in line for things like this? How many other projects are there around the state that would be competing for the same dollars in the future?
Oh, boy. I just attended on Friday the Senate Subcommittee meeting for the capital bill. There is a large contingent of different projects. What moves us ahead is to get into Phase 2, which this letter and a couple more meetings, we can get the Phase 2 fully funded, and then we will be waiting for the $73 million to actually construct it. Where are we at? Lake County did they had a vote on which projects are in the Phase 1, Phase 2, or construction, and ranked them. And in terms of that, this was ranked one of the highest projects in the Phase 1 bucket at the time. So there's a lot of political will to get this done. We just have to move through the process, and then ultimately it's the $73 million. In the capital bill discussions on Friday, the 120 and 53 project, the mayor of Grays Lake, Haynesville, et cetera, through the 120 corridor had a ask for this capital bill to do intersection improvements all along 120 in its current location to make some improvements. Now, that was a $50 million ask. There's a lot, long story short, there's a lot of other projects in front of it. How we move it forward is to get that through Phase 2, and then we can start asking for the money because it's ready, shovel ready.
Well, you know, and every time we discuss this, Grace, I think it started at 10 million a mile. Then it went to 12, now we're up to almost 15.
Yes.
Yeah. Works out nice for somebody.
Time marches on.
Yeah, kind of Christ. Anyway, all right. Does anybody got a problem with getting this letter out post haste?
No, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next is what, omnibus vote agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pull item AA. Therefore, my motion is to approve items A through Z and BB through FF.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
At this point,
Motion is second.
I just want to make one additional point. That is, and let me get to it, item C. This weekend, the 10th and the 11th, the Lions Club will be holding their Tootsie Pop Days, and I wanted to give them recognition for going forward with that event, and just let people know that be generous when you get your Tootsie Roll and putting money into their little canisters.
It's good for people that need help with their eyes.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask
Yes.
questions about H and L?
Go.
Do I need to pull them, or I can just ask questions?
If you want to.
Okay.
Well, only if you
So-
want a separate vote. If you just
Yeah,
have questions, go ahead and
just
ask the
questions.
question.
Okay. So H regarding the police services, so it's going up 4% from 62.5 to 65. I'm curious, how did you come up with that number? It actually doesn't seem like much of a change. And secondly, is that per man hour, or how is that?
Yeah, that's per hour that we charge a private or a separate institution that is seeking to have a detail officer posted at a location to support a particular function.
That's per office or per hour?
Per officer, per hour, and it reimburses. And the officer is actually paid their hourly overtime rate. In some cases, it might be less than that. In some cases, it might be more than that, depending on who is particularly assigned.
That's why I was asking, is that really even enough, considering how much we pay for,
Right.
you know, for the officers' time and benefits and everything else?
Sure. It's a fair question. It's a function of kind of what the neighborhood charges for it. And the question about, is it really enough? We recognize that the community as a whole gains a benefit when one institution hires back a police officer, provides another police officer, in some cases 6 police officers, to be back in the community, even though they're dedicated to a particular function. If the community has an emergency, there's an agreement that they can go and work in an emergency. So we think that we could probably price ourselves out of the market if we tried to build in all those costs, but we want to recognize, we believe there is and it's my recommendation, that we recognize a benefit to the greater community by having more police officers on at a given time.
You're talking like Dave and Buster's.
Yep.
That's one
Well, that's where you
example.
put it, that's where you have 6, sometimes.
We might, if there's a special event
Right.
there. We might have one at Sky Zone. If there's an overnight event, that might be an officer overnight. We have an officer a couple times a day at a couple crossing locations.
Sure.
And they're dedicated to that crossing, but if there's a radio call and we need an emergency response, that officer goes to an emergency response. So there's certainly a community benefit in regards to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, what's the
The
next
other
one?
one, L.
Yeah.
So this is regarding expenditures for Home Depot for general purpose items, et cetera. So do we have a contract specifically with them, or why are we not shopping around amongst the 3 of the?
He's the one that's going to be answering it for you.
Yeah, so Home Depot is one of the many locations that we go to. We go to Menards shopping. This is just one of them that we're opening up so we can purchase through them. Yeah, Menards, Home Depot, all the big box
So
companies.
it's not-
We have an account with all of them.
So we have an account with, this is just
This is
clarifying
just
that we
one
have an
of
account.
many,
Okay.
yes.
We're not pigeonholing ourselves into saying we're only buying our goods at Home
True.
Depot. Okay, we can
True.
shop around.
We do shop around, yes.
Okay.
They even buy some stuff from W.W. Granger on occasion, which requires me then to fill out a
Oh, yeah, fill out a
economic
form
interest.
because-
Yes, because I'm a shareholder
That's it.
and a former
Yeah.
management employee.
Trustee Cook?
Mike, on CC and DD, the two-car ones, those are, refresh my memory, they're basically the same as what's been done in the past?
Yes, they are. One of them is at Hawthorne Village Commons in front of Hobby Lobby. There would be a classic car show, and then they'd have 5 cruise nights. That's the same as what they had last year. And then the other one is at Hawthorne Mall, and there they would also have a classic car show, and they'd have 3 cruise nights. Again, same as past years.
But
There
no,
were-
basically no change, that's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yes.
Same thing.
So it's the same thing, just a block away or so? Just a couple of blocks.
Yeah, different, same as the events that have been held at those properties in past years. Yeah, just different dates and different times, but otherwise the same kind of thing.
Okay.
We've done them in the past.
Yep.
Come on up.
Yeah. It asks you to.
State your
Name,
name.
rank, serial number.
Because this is a promotion tool.
Yeah, hi, I'm
Address.
Steve Haworka with BGV Motorsports.
Yeah, sure.
You've seen me last 3 years, I think. It's basically the same thing as last year. The only thing that's, I will say there is a correction that needs to be made in your packet is the fall show that is at Hawthorne Mall in October. It is on October 12th, but that's actually Saturday, October 12th. It says Sunday in your packet, so there was a mistype. But everything's the same. We're still doing the charity stuff, raising funds at the Bobo's car show for the police's social scholarship fund. But yeah, pretty much it's basically saying we got approval from both management companies to do this. That's really about it. I mean, it's still the Motors on Milwaukee at Hawthorne Mall, and
Where are you located?
we're located at a Mundelein, out of my home. So.
You do it through the 2 different organizations instead of just one, I'm curious.
Bobo's approached us a couple of years ago about wanting to do something to grow business at their place. And so we said, sure, we'll do that. The Motors on Milwaukee and the one at the mall, we'd gotten approached by 2 of the police officers, Dan Mead and Santos Rodriguez, to help them with their events that they were running, and went from, I believe, what they were running with 20 cars to around 150, 160. So I know some of you guys have come out to the events to seeing what we do and everything else, and everyone's very well behaved and orderly, and we do slap anybody's wrist if they do get out of line with us, which is part of why we keep coming back. So.
Do you own vehicles?
I own my own business, so needless to say, nowadays aren't put to the side because I'm putting money into my business. I used to have a 2000 Corvette that had a custom paint job, and it died with 268,000 miles on the end. So when that died, it was like, okay, where do you put your money? Into your business or into toys? The business.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, so now we got the approval of, in a second, on most everything except AA, right?
Correct.
That is correct.
All right, okay, Liz, roll call.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka.
Aye.
Mayor Byrne.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, AA.
At this time, what I would like to do is make a motion to adopt the revised resolution noted earlier as Exhibit B.
Can I have a copy of this new exhibit?
It's basically the same. It's
Yeah, great. I mean, do you mind if I take a quick look at it?
absolutely, sir.
And then what about the 5 points from the
They're all
Northwest
covered.
Municipal
They're
Coverage?
covered and they're.
Chief's got that? Okay. Because it's not in the, the actual. What'd they say, Chief? The 5 points.
They're noted. Those are the bullet points.
Are they on this document?
Yeah, they're covered. The only change was there was just a little bit of cleanup, a little change in language on it. Everything else is covered, and it strengthened our position on homegrown.
You got it, Chief?
I do not
The
have.
somebody got that?
It would be in the
Have which?
last,
Oh, the IML thing?
the last transmittal.
What's a Northwest Municipal Conference?
Yes.
I know those points were incorporated into this language.
Yeah.
I think they were
Yes.
verbatim. weren't they?
Yes. It
Okay,
was
we're in,
exact-
mean in this resolution?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And
none of that was changed from the original.
Except for, you mean in version B now? It was
Yeah,
I mean,
with the
that's strengthening.
exception.
with the exception of the homegrown.
That's
Right.
the difference. So it was strongly opposes, has concerns, and then the yellow is a change.
Okay. All right, well, is there a motion to do anything?
Yes, sir. I made the motion to adopt Exhibit B.
Second.
So motion is second. Comments or questions? Quite frankly, the first one's stronger.
Right, that's the point. So,
The first necessarily with regard to the homegrown, though.
Well, it doesn't cover that at all.
Not as strong.
But does
does
it cover
not
it? Does it cover
It
it?
asks for regulations. This says we oppose it, and these are the regulations that we are looking to adopt.
Yeah, all right. You
So-
want to do a roll call?
well, yeah, before we got to that, so were you in favor of being
I'm in
stronger?
favor of just not changing and staying with A.
Staying with A?
Yeah, why not?
It won't be unanimous.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's what you want. That's your prerogative,
Well, then,
you know.
the motion before you right now is to adopt
Yeah, there's a motion
a
and a second.
revised, which is Exhibit B.
Okay.
So you're going to need to vote that down. Am I correct, sir?
Well, you need to vote, well, you could say yes or no. You know,
Well-
take the vote on it.
There's a motion and a second.
Yeah.
So if you go forward on that, and the first and the second don't withdraw the motion, then you go forward and you vote on that. And if it goes up, it can be vetoed. If it goes down, then it's done, then you can vote on the second one.
Right. Roll call.
Trustee Brown,
Okay. Right now, what's being voted on is
Exhibit B.
Exhibit
The
B.
revised
The revised one.
Not the original one.
That eliminates the strongly opposed language as to legalization generally and
And strengthening the homegrown parts.
strengthens the homegrown part.
So could we have a third one that has?
Right now, we're voting.
Let's just
we're
leave it at
voting
these two.
On B.
Yeah,
Well-
okay, the roll call is
'Cause she would
started.
know for me.
All right,
You'd rather have the homegrown strengthened than, the semantics of we strongly agree or disagree. So that's sort of neither here nor there, right? Because like Roger said, this is, they've got a lot of support down in Springfield. At the end of the day, we're just waiting to see what the village, their opt-out powers will be, and that's really all that matters.
yeah, the home rule, if
So
you're gonna
the
stick
homegrown,
to it.
I'd rather see the stronger verbiage on the homegrown versus whether we strongly, oppose or.
Strongly
just have
opposed
concern.
versus we have concerns with.
Right. I'd rather, with their revision, they did put in the time.
In theory, you could pass both resolutions.
Both of them.
well,
They're
then.
both technically the same.
Well, you
except
could
for
pass
the-
both.
They're similar.
word.
One
I
didn't
strongly
know.
opposes
And the homegrown.
legalization altogether, one
Okay. Well,
But-
I did.
bolsters some other things.
Oh, so you
So
could
what
pass
does that
both.
mean? If
Well,
we
but-
pass both, we got to we have to,
Exhibit B.
don't we have to send a copy to our legislators? So we're not going to send them both.
Then vote one.
Standing correctly, the only.
Well,
difference-
wait a second. Somebody's already been called on to vote, and that would be Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Okay?
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
I'd prefer the stronger language, but I'll vote aye to be unanimous. Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
President Byrne?
I'll abstain. Yeah, motion carries. Get it out of here tomorrow then. Just get this out in a hurry.
Why did you abstain, may I ask?
I just wanted I thought the language was stronger in the first,
Right.
the first
It was?
resolution. That's all.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay.
No, we've got. No, I thought.
Oh, no, we still got new business communications.
Yes, sir.
I withdraw the motion.
Any new business or communications that come before the board? Other than, I went to Springfield last week and it was not special. It was kind of business as usual. And I'm sure coming down the home stretch, it's going to be, hold on to your hat. But I could say with a reasonable degree of certainty, I don't think we're going to get hurt by this potential South Dakota Wayfair case. And I think that will be a
said you-
boom to the state.
you
It'll
said
be
you
good
don't
for the,
think we-
no, we
you
won't,
don't-
I
we're
don't
not gonna
think
get
we'll
hurt
get
by it?
hurt, no. We might even get a few bucks.
Is that based on this afternoon's conference call?
Based on that, plus being down at Springfield.
Yeah, no,
I mean, talking amongst, with lobbyists and
Right,
other.
understood.
Yeah.
But there was a meeting this afternoon that
Yeah.
Mark attended. Did
Yeah,
you also?
yeah, we did.
Okay.
But I mean, I think it'd be nice to get the 400 million into the state.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get money from Alabama, what is it, Alabama?
Alibaba.
Yeah, what the village president is talking about is basically the Marketplace Fairness Act, which had some concern to us because we collect a lot of sales tax from entities that are delivering to locations outside of Vernon Hills. And based on the current law, the 3 of 5 rule, where certain 3 conditions out of 5 are met, we get to keep the sales tax that's collected by CDW and furniture stores and other places that deliver.
Oh, that was streamlined sales tax.
Right, and
Yeah, they're not touching that at all. That's
so
gone.
that was important that we not lose that.
Yeah, that was put to bed 5 years ago.
Well, nothing is ever. Nothing is ever.
Yeah, they bring it up, but nobody's hooked at it.
Only vampires
That's what I
with
thought.
silver bullets and wooden stakes in their
Yeah.
heart.
I thought the village manager's email a couple months ago referred to that. And that was the.
Well, it
concern.
could have been several months ago, but I mean, there was a lot of opposition to the
Right.
streamlined sales tax. I mean, by many communities, and it didn't go forward. So,
Okay.
but yeah, you can't rule out they can revisit stuff, but that would be kind of detrimental to us.
Yes, it would.
For sure.
So anyway, this will be interesting. Collect the money and to go from there. I don't know. And then of course they're going to do sports betting, and they're going to do obviously the marijuana because they like license fees. It's a lot of money. I think it's pushing $200 million in just license fees a year. So,
Yeah.
not to mention sales tax and all that fun stuff.
Right. And if you
Farmers are going to be growing this stuff too.
maybe
That's what they were talking.
Well, no, the change in the federal statute allowed them now to begin growing hemp.
Yeah, but I think the farmers are going to get in on this act too. It's okay. At least they know what they're doing. Okay, is there any other new business that come before the board? If not,
Well, no, I've got.
Trustee Schultz?
You've got your obligatory.
Yes, my obligatory bully pulpit. Since we last met, we've had a synagogue shot up and we've had a school shot up today. There was a statistic.
Sri Lanka.
Right,
Several.
right, across the globe. There was a statistic that was brought to my attention. During the Vietnam era, there was about 3 million plus individuals went through Vietnam. And a statistic, and I don't know how accurate that was, but the way the military worked at that time, there was only about 10% that really were out in the front. And so that would be like 300,000 individuals that would have kind of qualified for the combat infantry badge, depending upon, that's kind of a demarcation of that level of service. Since the war on terror started, which roughly coincides with the Columbine era, which takes us through today, there's been, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of, I believe, 2 million individuals that have cycled through Iraq and Afghanistan. Using this same statistic, that would be 200,000. I know today's military operates a lot differently. I had a cousin who was in Vietnam who ran an NCO club. I don't think there are too many NCO clubs in Kabul or any of the other. So things are different. But 10% of that force would be roughly 200,000. But I think the number is a lot higher in today's military that are seeing frontline action. The statistic that I wanted to bring up was that according to a number of studies that have been done, there's 150,000 individuals in the United States that have been part of an active shooter action over the Columbine period. So basically, during that same time frame. I found that number to be staggering, but you start thinking about it, you got 3,000 kids in this high school, you got 1,000 kids. Today's school was over 2,000 students, I believe. So that's another 2,000 to add on. So there's 150,000 individuals that were young people, ages 5, 4, through 18, 20, well, 18, not including colleges that we also had a college shooting this past week. I know that this desk can't do anything about that. And I know that in this state, there's a lot of actions already taken by legislators that we've elected. But people, we got to speak up. We've got to say something about this. This is crazy. We have 150,000 young people in this country that in a sense would qualify for the combat infantry badge. That's bizarre. That's unbelievable. So once again, I use the bully pulpit that I have available to me to reach those few people that see this on Channel 4 and those that are present in the audience. We need to do something. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not proposing an answer. I'm just saying that every time I hear about stuff like this, I can't believe it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah. And don't watch the 10 o'clock news, I'll tell you that, because they're going to give you statistics on who got shot today in the city of Chicago, so, or even the environs. So, anyway, okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Roll call.
Do we second?
Second.
Got to get out quick. Roll call.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
President Byrne.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you and good night. And congratulations to the trustees that got sworn in tonight, Oppenheim, Brown, and Marquardt with a T.
Thank you. Are we not going into closed session?
DT.